Welcome back to another episode of Road to Glory. And this is not the usual voice you hear on a TNA Impact episode. It is I, Jmack Gaming, with running a solo show for the next few episodes. As we touched on a few episodes ago, Chad's a busy boy. Chad's got a life after moving out of the TEW streaming house. So, we decided to keep the content rolling. He would send me a card, a script for angles, or a little brief synopsis of TNA Impacts while he was busy, so we could keep the ball rolling, keep the content pushing out instead of, not doing anything for weeks or a month at end, and then you'll see a random episode pop up. No, we want to keep the ball rolling. We want to keep the momentum rolling. You guys seem to love the series, so we want to keep pushing out the content. So it's going to be a little different. It's just going to be me running solo. So I hope you sit back and enjoy my lovely, soothing voice here on the new TNA Impact episode. We're 3 days away, or 3 days removed from Slammiversary 2000, where we did see, don't look at everything else, we did see Tessa Blanchard in the main event retain her TNA world title in a cage match against Sami Callihan. It was a massive show, one of the best, 58, the highest rated show we've had in the save so far. Let's see if Chad can keep the ball rolling. Let's see how his TNA Impact does here tonight. We are in, for the first time ever, in the TNA Impact Zone, as Chad decided to create a new venue in Ontario, Canada, called the Impact Zone. He moved it from Florida to Ontario, Canada, so we're here in the Impact Zone here tonight to start the show. All right, let's look at the script we got here. We start off with a little highlight package of what happened at Slammiversary, including, Tessa, like we said, Tessa Blanchard defeating Sami Callihan in a brutal cage match. And we saw in the co-main event, Eddie Edwards defeating Moose in a best two out of three falls match. So we start off the show now with Tessa Blanchard coming out. You're still your TNA World Champion. And she says she wasn't just fighting for her life. The last few weeks leading up to Slammiversary it wasn't a good time. She got ran over by a car. She had to fight for her life against the Ohio OVE boys. A lot was going on, and she says she wasn't fighting just for her life. She wasn't just fighting for her family. She wasn't just fighting for the fans. She was fighting for all of TNA. And, whether you like me or not, she says, I will continue to put this company on my back. I will come in day after day, clock in, put on the best match of the card, best match of the night, and continue to prove why I am the greatest wrestler in TNA, and I will continue to always be the TNA world. And then she's interrupted by Eddie Edwards, who comes out and basically talks about being the lifeblood of the TNA, listing off the mega list of former TNA champions that he has put down in the ring, 1, 2, 3, and how Tessa Blanchard will be the next one he will put on that list. And Tessa, she responds. She says she cannot wait to wrestle Eddie Edwards. She cannot wait to see Eddie Edwards put up or shut up, put his money where his mouth is. She hasn't backed off on one fight ever, and Eddie Edwards will not be the first one that she will be running scared of. And she says at Unbreakable, she will defeat Eddie Edwards. So it looks like it is official at TNA Unbreakable in August next month. It will be Tessa Blanchard versus Eddie Edwards for the TNA World Championship. We move on to our opening match. It's going to be Kimberly against a woman that, for some reason, is still on the card, as she lost her gut check match at the Go Home Impact. But if you were watching Slammiversary, you know that Gail Kim gave this woman, she gave him a contract. Leah Vaughn is in the ring with Kimberly, going on one-on-one up after this, and Leah Vaughn gets, I think, her first win in the save, pinning Kimberly in 12-16 with a flying Dutchman. Interesting move following interference from Gail Kim. Gail Kim, after the match, cuts a promo, or she just talks about, the lay of the land, how she's still the most dominant TNA knockout of all time, whether that's from the beginning or right now. When they think of TNA knockouts, they think of Gail Kim, and she's got the TNA locker room. She says she's going to put them on notice, and that's when the TNA knockout champion Jordynne Grace comes out. Big Mama Pump is what they call her. And she says she's always ready for a fight, Gail Kim. You might be the most historic, the most acclaimed TNA knockout of all time, but right now you're not the TNA knockout champion, are you? I don't see a belt around your waist, she says. And that infuriates Gail Kim. And as she's getting distracted by what Jordynne Grace is, got laser focused on Gail Kim, Leah Vaughn comes out of nowhere and blindsides Jordynne Grace with a chair, and the Gail Kim joins the beatdown after the chair shot. We go on backstage. Or not even backstage. Our next match, not even title match. It's a 2-on-2 match. It's the Commonwealth Kid Corey Jarvis and Super Eric taking on the cousins, Cody Deaner and our cousin Jake, in a tag team match. Unfortunately, we had an injury happen after Jake Deaner pinned Super Eric after hitting a massive super power bomb on him. Unfortunately, the power bomb, he got a little bit too much on him, and Super Eric, landed on his head, his neck area, and sustained a minor concussion, which led to the referee throwing the X up and cousin Jake getting the win there. You never want to see an injury, but Jake's something, man. He is something. Don't look at this. Backstage in her office, Jillian Jacobs, she has a little problem. She's talking to the crowd. She announces the main event tonight will be a rematch for the X Division title, a match that we saw at Slammiversary. Willie Mack gets his championship rematch against the new champion, the ace of the place, Ace Austin, and that will be the main event match tonight. And also, we hear up next, it will be Carly Colon taking on Scott Steiner. And in a great match here, unbelievable, one of the best performances we'll ever see in 828. Carly Colon cheats and gets the pin over Scott Steiner in 2020 in 828. Even with great chemistry, Scott Steiner got a 29. Can he go? He can go all right. He can go. The finish of the match was Scott Steiner had up on the top rope. He was going to do his big finishing move, and Carly Colon spit an apple in Scott Steiner's face, and then Colon jumped off from the top rope and rolled him up. Schoolboy grabbed his tights. 1, 2, 3. We go backstage. We have what Chad calls EV3, EC3, EV Dub. It's the ECW guys. Backstage they all cut a very similar promo about how, ECW was the reason why they're here today, the reason why they still wake up in the morning, and, the impact, the lasting impact of what ECW did on the wrestling business can still be felt today. And they're gonna bring a little bit of that flair back tonight, because later tonight we have a fatal 4-way hardcore match. It'll be these four against LAX and Reno Scum, and RVD says someone's gonna bleed tonight, and Tommy Dreamer says, yeah, somebody's gonna bleed. And we will see that fatal 4-way tag team match later tonight, because up next we have a tag team match in the Knockouts division. Havoc may have came close to winning the TNA Knockouts Championship at Slammiversary, but tonight she's teaming up with Su Yung to take on Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan. Just really in what is a glorified squash match. Su Yung and Havoc defeat Hogan and Steelz in a short little match here. Havoc using the frustration of a loss, coming up so close for that knockout championship. She was visibly frustrated. Well, maybe not frustrated, but visibly more intense in the ring, more a little stiff, as they would like to say in the dirt sheets, with the team of Hogan and Steels, and they get the win in 7:43. Oh boy, we saw the return. We saw the return of the Motor City Machine Guns at Slammiversary, and now they have come out to challenge the North. They're backstage. They're talking about how, this is the past versus the present. The North, Ethan Page, Josh Alexander, they're on a new path to write history in the tag team division here in TNA, but there wouldn't be a tag team history without the Motor City Machine Guns. These guys both have respect for one another, but as Alex Shelley will say, there's only room for one team on top of the mountain. And at Unbreakable, we find out who that team is. It will be the Motor City Machine Guns against the North at Unbreakable. Up next, we do move on to that four-way hardcore match. LAX, Homicide Hernandez, and Reno Scum of Luster the Legend and Adam Thornstone taking on the ECW boys in a hardcore match here. Just bodies being thrown around, blood being spilt, men going through tables. Sabu took a nasty gringo killer at the for the finish. As Homicide gets the win for his team in 11:51. Just a beaten and battered, just a wild brawl here tonight for in this match. Just just a big brawl. We move on backstage. Rich Swann made his return at Slammiversary, winning the first inaugural interpromotional TNA NWA Battle Royal to win the NWA Heritage Championship. And he cuts a promo on making his return. He was sidelined for 8 months, and when the pandemic hit, he thought there might not be a chance of him wrestling again. He was on top of the mountain for him. He was living his dream in WWE, former Cruiserweight champion, and then all of a sudden everything was taken away from him, and now post-injury, post-pandemic, he is back. He is now champion of the NWA or whatever, the NWA Heritage. And he is going to make a name for himself. He's going to make sure everyone remembers the name Rich Swann. And now we go to our main event, Ace Austin and Willie Mack for the X Division Championship. These two guys had a great match at Slammiversary. Can they live up to it here tonight on TNA Impact 3 days later? They can. In a decent match, Ace Austin does retain his championship in a classic, but he uses the ropes for leverage. Willie Mack, I don't think the referee saw it. I don't think Willie Mack saw it, but Ace Austin, being the little bastard, cheats his way to retain his X Division Championship. And as Ace Austin is, scurrying away on the ramp, well, Willie Mack is pissed off. We have the little TNA Impact, thank you, good night, have a good night. We'll see you next week. Until we see an image backstage in the parking lot, and we hear a scream from someone. We hear people yelling, "Hey, get help, get help, get help, we need help." And Eddie Edwards is found backstage unconscious. And that is how we end TNA Impact Week 6 of this Impact show. We got Unbreakable in about 4 weeks, 5 weeks' time. We have NWA Power up next, though, for this episode. I hope you guys enjoy a solo Chadless TNA Impact. You're about to get 4 more of those, so strap in. We'll see you for Impact and NWA Power. Everybody, welcome to another episode of NWA Power. We're on episode 6. We're week 6, but, episode 27 of this weekly episodic television show, NWA Power. Last week we saw, Aaron Stevens, call out. He said if Kevin Conley ever shows his face around here again, he'll kill him. He will murder him. And will he show up tonight? You'll have to find out. Let's get into the show. You know how it is, 1 hour, short show. Let's get into the show. We start off with Eli Drake and James Storm coming down to the ring. A couple nights ago at Slammiversary, we did see the NWA Tag Team Champions, Eli Drake and James Storm, wrestle Ken Shamrock and the Commonwealth Kid, Corey Jarvis. But Unfortunately, we saw interference by two dudes that don't like James Storm and Eli Drake, and that's the wild cards of Royce Isaacs and Thomas Latmer. Let's see what Eli Drake has to say tonight as Eli Drake comes out of the ring, flanked by James Storm. New Orleans, let me talk to you. As the little crowd here tonight in New Orleans, Louisiana, show their love for Eli Drake. Sunday night, me and James Storm, we had an open invite to one of our former companies, our former proving grounds, TNA. We showed up at Slammiversary, and we did what we do best. Ain't that right, James Storms? And that's kick ass. But you know who showed up unannounced and, more importantly, unwelcomed? I mean this when I say this. Royce Isaacs, Thomas Latmer, you just made the biggest mistakes of your life. When you decided to mess with James Storm and Eli Drake, you just cemented yourselves as the biggest dummies, in all of NWA and professional wrestling history. So next week, let's just wash this blood away. Us two, me, James Storm, you two, NWA street fight. As the crowd here tonight cheers, they love that. And when we wipe the floor with you, you will be running back to hide behind old daddy Nick Aldis. Because whose game is it? With everybody saying, Eli Drake, yeah. The tag team champions calling out the wild cards for a street fight next week on Power. That's going to be a physical battle. We move on to our opening match. Speaking of physical battle, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, they defeat the Dawson brothers in 808 when Robert Gibson pins Zane Dawson with the, oh my God, a channel classic, the missile drop kick. A big win. I mean, Look, the Rock and Roll Express, a legendary tag team. They're here. They're still kicking. They're still contracted. They're still going. A good match here, and the crowd got hotter because of this match. They loved seeing Robert Gibson work in 2020. We see backstage, Billy Corgan is on the phone as he's ringing someone, and he's trying to call Matt Cardona. I forgot to put Trevor Murdoch in this angle. Whoopsie. Billy Corgan, he tries to call Matt Cardona, but it goes straight to voicemail. You'd reached the indie god, Matt Cardona. Give me a woo, woo, woo when you hear the beep, beep. And, Billy Corgan slams his phone down, and he mumbles a swear word I cannot say. I refuse to say on this channel. But we hear a knock. Dirty South Trevor Murdoch has entered the office, and Billy says, hey, Trevor, just the man I was hoping to see tonight, Take a seat. Yes. Make yourself comfortable. Trevor Murdoch, as he's sitting down, he says, hey, look, Billy, I'll save you the big speech here. I'll save you this whole talk. I feel like I let myself down at Shockwave. I feel like I let you down. I feel like I let the entire NWA down, and I feel like I let the fans down. I had a shot, and I was so close to reclaiming my glory and becoming the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Man, this bill, this might be an ask. It might be a lot to ask, but look, I need another title shot. I need another opportunity at becoming NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I need another opportunity. I need another shot at Nick Aldis. And Billy Corgan says, lucky for you, Trevor. This is exactly what I wanted to bring you in. The fuck was that? This is exactly what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. Later tonight, there's a big match. And some could say there's, a number one contendership on the line. You're one of my brightest stars, my top stars here in the NWA, so I feel like it's only right to to ask you this. Would you like to fight for another shot at that world title? You say the word, Trevor, and that shot is yours. And Trevor stands up. He gives Billy Corgan a handshake. He says, of course. Thank you, sir. I won't let you, and I won't let the people down again. As Trevor Murdoch will get a number one contendership match tonight. Who's that against? I don't know. Maybe Trevor Murdoch should have asked. But we go we're going to the next match. Eddie Kingston takes on local talent, a man that asked to, be a part of the show tonight, Corey Hollis. And Eddie Kingston makes quick work of the local legend, Corey Hollis, getting a 544 pinfall victory with a backdrop driver. We go to commercial, and we're standing around the big booth right before the entrance for Thunder Rosa, as she is in action tonight for the first time after losing her NWA Women's Championship belt. And Alicia Talent asked her a question. She says, hey, this is your Thunder Rosa, whatever, this is your first match post losing your championship. What are you going to do? Are you going to, in Thunder Rosa, sees Alicia Talent and me struggling to think of something to say, and she says, look, Camille is the only thing on my mind right now. I'm going to go make quick work out there, and then I'm going to fight Camille when the opportunity arises, and I'm going to beat her for the title. She got lucky. She got a fluke win over me, and she knows it. She knows she couldn't lace up my boots ever in the wrestling industry. And when I get that opportunity to cash in my rematch clause, I'm going to do that. Camille, I'm coming. As Thunder Rosa comes down to the ring, she takes on Ashley Vox in a awkward bout because they just don't click. Thunder Rosa defeats Ashley Vox in 9:54 with a La Rosa. But then after the match, I think Camille heard what Thunder Rosa had to say, and she obliterates Thunder Rosa in the ring a couple times with a DDT on to the NWA Women's Championship. Camille looking stronger and stronger with each passing day. Can Thunder Rosa reclaim her championship, or will Camille showcase why she is the most dominant woman in the NWA? We move on to our final match of the night, our main event. Trevor Murdoch comes down to the ring. Who is he facing? Who is he facing in the number one contender match? The music hits, and it's a theme I love. Trouble, 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 trouble. Trouble, 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 trouble. EC3, Ethan Carter III comes out, and he is the opponent for Trevor Murdoch. The winner of this match will be a number one contender for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And in a classic back and forth match, Trevor Murdoch has EC3 in a headlock. He's going for the fans. He's calling for their cheering because he's got Ethan Carter III in his famous finishing DDT. But I think he took too long to get the crowd behind him because James Laurinaitis pulls the referee out of the ring. Trevor Murdoch sees this going on and he goes, what the hell are you doing? Drops Ethan Carter III without even hitting him with the finishing move. Rolls out of the ring, pushes James Laurinaitis, throws the referee back in the ring, slides in, and Ethan Carter III hits his finishing move. And that's the end of the match. 1, 2, 3, the Sweet Meat Sizzler. And that's the best match of the year so far, 60. As Ethan Carter III, once again, with a little bit of that James Laurinaitis bullshit, is the new number one contender. A big win for Ethan Carter III, as Trevor Murdoch kind of just sits there like Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39 in the middle of the ring when Roman Reigns was celebrating behind him. Trevor Murdoch sitting there, face in his hands, disappointed that he couldn't get the job done once again. And that's how we end the show of 53, a great show of power. Next week, we know it's the NWA Street Fight. The champions, Eli Drake, James Storm, taking on the wild cards. Kevin Kiley, will he show his face? Will Matt Cardona pick up the phone? Where's Icky Dice? We'll have to find out next week on NWA Power. We'll see you for the next episode of Road to Glory. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment and see it. We're in a massive world of wrestling. If there's a free agent you want us to sign, tell us. We'll go sign him. We'll push him. We can rename him your name if you even want us to. We'll do anything for you. See you.